welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at gods5minutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. Some things come from the deepest places there are in a person, from the wellspring of the spirit, the passion of the soul. David was an anointed master of capturing the uplifting aspects of the inner person, those unique characteristics that separate us from the animal kingdom. Using the gifted touch of the master poet, he recorded them for the ages. An example is in his 5th Psalm. Beginning with verse 7, it reads, "But as for me, I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy, and in thy fear will I worship toward thy holy temple. Lead me, O Lord, in thy righteousness because of mine enemies. Make thy way straight before my face." But as for me, people make choices in life. We're all a product of the opinions we have formed, founded on the experiences we have had, and the attitude we have chosen to take toward those experiences. Hitler's Nazis, for instance, convinced themselves, based on their interpretation of culture, that as an Aryan race they were superior to lesser mud races, and used that haughty viewpoint to exonerate themselves as benefiting the world with the mass murder of their fellows. David didn't consider himself above being bewitched into similar prejudices. He said, in contrast to those who follow the vanity of their own imaginations, "But as for me," and then he told us where he would go to get his master ideas about life, himself, the world about him, and how he could best maintain his emotional equilibrium. It is a very old technique, one that has brought the world its greatest benefits and provided the most possible solace for its practitioners. "I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy." May I recommend to you the value of attending holy worship services? People go there to sing religious songs. Songs like Amazing Grace, written by John Newton, who was a converted slave ship captain to become a pastor. Horatio Spafford wrote, "It is well with my soul while on a ship, as it approached a place in the ocean where his 4 daughters had perished when the vessel they were on was sunk." Our Christian hymnals are rich with many similar. Some, like the Christmas carol in Excelsis Deo, date from Christianity's earliest days. Whatever may be your situation in life, friend, there's a song in the Christian hymnal written by someone who has faced something similar, who went to God's house and found a sweetness to save him from being a Joseph Stalin or an Adolf Hitler. People go to worship services to pray. Now, it isn't necessary to be in a cathedral with leaded glass windows and towering spires to find God, but there is something inspiring about having a common time of meeting with fellow believers. Artie Glenn described one such time as just a plain and simple chapel where humble people go to pray. In a way, the outsides of the building really don't matter much if the people worshiping there are in agreement of spirit and are humbly talking to Jesus. His greatest cathedral was an unknown mountainside where he preached spiritual food and miraculously gave literal food. A sinner can go to a holy worship service, find his way to the old-fashioned mourner's bench, the altar, there to kneel and weep his way home again. Praying can bring peace with God. As another old hymn has it, "He washed my eyes with tears that I might see the broken heart I had was good for me. He tore it all apart and looked inside. He found it full of fear and foolish pride." That is part of the reason why David came to God's house, because God, in the multitude of his great mercy, has a way of showing us who we really are and how to do better. People have developed many different belief systems under the title of Christianity. When we go to worship, it's well to look past dogmas and creeds and to listen to the words of the Bible. Although it is profound, some things in it are very easy to grasp. For instance, bless them that curse you, do good to them that despitefully use you, maybe best of all, and ye shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart. Friend, have you talked to God today?
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at godsfiveminutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.